Hello everyone, welcome to KITCH MORE. We are now in week 7 of English 7 quarter 4 in the Matatag curriculum. And today, we will learn about the process of writing letters of request, specifically focusing on pre-writing and drafting. So, let's dive in. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to identify one's role and purpose, situation, and target readers in writing a letter of request in proposing a solution to an environmental concern. Use pre-writing strategies to gather and organize ideas, and draft a letter of request using the gathered information from the pre-writing activity. So back to memory lane. Before we proceed, let's review the parts of a letter of request. Understanding this will help you draft a clear and effective letter. First, we have the heading. The heading includes the sender's address and the date the letter was written. It is usually placed at the top left or top right of the page. Next is the recipient's address. This is the address of the person or organization to whom the letter is being sent. It includes the recipient's name, title, company or institution, and full address. There's also the salutation. It is a polite greeting that addresses the recipient. Common examples are, "Dear Mr. Reyes," or "to whom it may concern," if the specific name is unknown. Then the body. It is the main part of the letter where the request is stated. It typically includes an introduction stating the purpose of the letter, a clear explanation of the request including necessary details, and a closing statement expressing appreciation and any follow-up information. Then there's also the complimentary close. It is a polite way to end the letter, such as sincerely, respectfully, or yours truly. There's also the signature block. It is the sender's name, designation, and signature which confirm the authenticity of the letter. And lastly is the end notations, if it is applicable. End notations include additional information like enclosures. So those are the parts of a letter of request that we learned in our previous lesson. This time, let's proceed to understanding author's purpose. What is an author's purpose? The author's purpose refers to the primary reason or intent behind a piece of writing. Authors write for different purposes, and these purposes can often be grouped into 4 main categories: to inform, to persuade, to entertain, and to express thoughts or feelings. Understanding the author's purpose is crucial for readers as it helps them interpret and analyze the text more effectively. Here are the 3 basic categories of the author's purpose. We have first, to inform. That is to provide factual information. Second, to persuade. That is to convince the reader to take action. And to entertain. That is to engage the reader in a creative way. Every piece of writing has a purpose. When writing a letter of request, our main goal is usually to persuade someone to take action. This means we must present a clear, well-organized request that explains the issue, provides supporting details, and suggests a reasonable solution. For example, if you want to request the installation of more recycling bins in your community, you need to explain why the issue is important. Say, for example, there is too much waste in public spaces. Second, support your request with facts or evidence, like statistics on plastic waste. Third, suggest a practical solution, like placing bins in schools and parks. Then, end with a polite request and appreciation. So, a well-written letter of request can encourage leaders, organizations, or government officials to take action and make a difference in the community. This time, let's proceed to the writing process, and let's start with the step 1, which is pre-writing. What is pre-writing? Pre-writing is the initial step in writing a letter of request. It involves choosing a topic, identifying the purpose, understanding the target reader, gathering relevant information, and organizing ideas before drafting the letter. Why is pre-writing important? Here are the reasons why. First, pre-writing helps clarify the message. It helps the writer ensure the request is specific and well-structured. Second, it identifies the right audience. It ensures that the letter is addressed to the appropriate person or organization. Third, it strengthens the request. It provides supporting details that make the request more persuasive. And lastly, it prevents mistakes. Organizing thoughts beforehand avoids confusion and unnecessary revisions. This time, let's talk about the steps in the pre-writing stage. First, we have identify the letter sender. Who is writing the letter? What is the sender's role or position? So for example, here the letter sender is Ana Lopez, grade 7 student. And what is the role of the sender, or what is the position of the sender? So that is the president of the environmental club. So that is an example for identifying the letter sender. Second, determine the purpose of the letter. Why are you writing the letter? What action do you want the reader to take? For example, the purpose is to request waste segregation bins for the school to reduce plastics pollution. Then third, understand the situation. What problem or issue needs to be addressed? Why is this issue important? So for example, you have the situation, the school has a waste management problem and plastic waste clogs drainage systems causing floods. And then, you're going to identify the target reader. Who has the authority to act on your request? How should you address them formally? For example, your target reader is the school principal, like let's say Mr. Roberto de la Cruz. Then, we have gather supporting information. What facts, data, or observations support your request? Can you provide examples or evidence to strengthen your argument? Like for example, here are your supporting information. Like the school generates a lot of plastic waste from snack wrappers. Or a study by environmental organizations shows that waste segregation helps reduce pollution and flooding. So these are your supporting information for your letter of request. Next is use a pre-writing strategy. Writers can use different techniques to organize their ideas before drafting the letter. And these are actually involving the following. First, brainstorming. Brainstorming is listing possible reasons why the request is important. Second is diagramming. It is creating a flowchart showing the problem, cause, and solution. Then there's also free writing. Here, you are going to write freely about why the request matters without worrying about structure. There's also outlining, in which you organize key points in a logical order. So here is an example of an outline for the letter of request. So you have here the introduction, in which you introduce yourself and your role. Then you state the purpose of your letter. And then there's also the body. Here you are going to describe the problem like plastic waste, its effects, and why action is needed. Then it's followed by the supporting facts and examples, and then you're going to explain the requested action. Let's say, for example, installing waste segregation bins. Then the last part of your outline is the conclusion, wherein you're going to reiterate the request and then express appreciation and hope for a positive response. Let's now proceed to an example of a pre-writing activity. So you have here a scenario. You want to request that the school administration provide waste segregation bins to help reduce plastic waste and prevent flooding. So with that task, you need to come up with the answers to these pre-writing questions as your guide. So first is, who is the sender? So let's have here Ana Lopez, grade 7 student, president of the Environmental Club. What is the purpose of the letter? So maybe she is going to request for waste segregation bins in the school. Then what is the situation? Like there is plastic waste and it is not properly disposed of, leading to drainage blockages and flooding. Who is the target reader? It can be Mr. Roberto de la Cruz, school principal. What action is requested? Install color-coded waste bins in classrooms and hallways for proper waste disposal. What supporting details can strengthen the request? So, these are climate action promotes waste reduction. Schools with waste management programs have reduced plastic pollution, and students need to be more responsible in disposing of waste properly. Now let's answer the following discussion questions. First one, why is it important to identify the purpose of the letter before writing? Always remember that identifying the purpose of the letter helps the writer stay focused and ensure that the message is clear. If the purpose is not well defined, the request might be vague or ineffective. For example, if the letter is about requesting waste segregation bins, the writer should clearly state that the bins will help manage plastic waste and promote a cleaner environment in school. Without a clear purpose, the letter may not convince the reader to take action. Second question, how can choosing the right target reader make the letter more effective? Choosing the right target reader ensures that the letter reaches someone who has the authority to grant the request. For instance, if a student wants waste segregation bins in school, sending the letter to the principal is more effective than sending it to a fellow student. The principal has the power to approve the request and take action. If the letter is sent to the wrong person, it may not lead to any meaningful change. Third question, what other environmental concerns can be addressed through a letter of request? Yes, we have here requesting more trees to be planted in school to reduce heat and provide shade. Asking for stricter rules on plastic use, such as banning single-use plastics in the canteen. Third, requesting a school-wide clean-up drive to prevent waste accumulation. Fourth, proposing a recycling program where students bring used paper and plastic to be repurposed. And fifth, asking for water conservation measures, such as fixing leaking faucets and promoting water-saving habits. And the last question is, which pre-writing strategy is most helpful and why? So there are two. We have brainstorming is helpful because it allows writers to list down all their ideas freely before organizing them. It helps in gathering different reasons, examples, and supporting details before writing the letter. And another one is outlining. It is another useful strategy because it provides a clear structure for the letter. It helps organize the introduction, body, and conclusion logically, making the letter easier to write and understand. Let's now proceed to the second step for writing a letter of request, and that is drafting. Drafting is the second phase of the writing process where ideas from the pre-writing stage are transformed into a structured format. It involves organizing thoughts, expanding on initial ideas, and ensuring that the message is clear, logical, and persuasive. Why is drafting important? Of course, because first, it helps organize thoughts clearly. Drafting helps writers arrange their ideas logically so the letter flows smoothly from start to finish. Second, it expands and refines ideas. The writer can add details, clarify points, and ensure that all necessary information is included. And third, it ensures logical flow and coherence. Drafting ensures that the letter follows a structured format so that the reader can easily understand and respond to the request. This time, let's talk about the steps in making a draft for the letter of request. The first step is to begin by introducing yourself and your role. The sender should clearly state their name and position or affiliation. For example, I am Juan de la Cruz, a grade 7 student at Barangay National High School. Second, clearly state the purpose of the letter and describe the environmental concern. The letter should explain what the issue is, why it is a concern, and how it affects the community. For example, due to deforestation, our barangay has experienced frequent flooding affecting many families. Third, provide detailed information about the issue, supporting claims with facts and statistics. This makes the letter more credible and persuasive. For example, according to environmental studies, a single mature tree can absorb up to 48 pounds of carbon dioxide per year, helping to reduce air pollution and combat climate change. Fourth, propose a specific solution or set of solutions. The writer must clearly outline the actions they are requesting. For example, we propose a community tree planting drive to address this issue. And the last one, reiterate the importance of addressing the environmental concern. End the letter with a strong closing statement emphasizing why the action is necessary. For example, this initiative aligns the purpose of the school to preserve the environment and will create a long-term impact on our environment. Here is a sample draft for a letter of request. In the draft, the first element we address is the sender. This is who is writing the letter. For example, the sender here is Juan de la Cruz, a grade 7 student. This is important because it sets the tone of the letter. As a student, Juan is not only expressing his concern but also demonstrating responsibility in raising awareness about climate change. Next, we identify the receiver, the person who will read and potentially act on the request. In this case, the letter is addressed to Honorable Mayor Antonio Reyes. He is the right recipient because, as the mayor, he has the authority to support and implement the tree planting program that Juan is proposing. Choosing the right receiver ensures the letter reaches someone who can take action. Finally, we look at the subject. This is the main point of request of the letter. Here, the subject is a request for a tree planting program to combat climate change. It's important that the subject is clear and to the point so that the recipient understands the purpose of the letter right away. When drafting your letter, make sure these key elements, the sender, receiver, and subject, are clearly identified. This ensures that your letter is structured and makes sense to the reader. Now let's look at the sample letter of request, and it starts with a formal greeting. Dear Honorable Mayor Reyes, This sets the respectful tone. And then the next is Juan introduces himself. I am Juan de la Cruz, a grade 7 student at Barangay National High School. This tells the reader who is writing the letter. Juan then clearly states the purpose. I am writing to request your support in implementing a tree planting project in our community. So this tells the reader exactly what the letter is all about. Juan explains the situation now. Due to deforestation, our barangay has experienced frequent flooding, affecting many families. So here, he provides the background for the request. Then, he proposes the solution to that problem. So he said in his letter, by initiating a tree planting drive, we can contribute to mitigating the effects of climate change. The solution is directly related to the problem in that case. Then Juan makes his request. I would like to seek your approval and assistance in providing seedlings and identifying suitable locations for planting. This is the specific help he is asking for. Finally, the letter closes politely. It says here, I hope for your kind consideration and support. Thank you. This shows gratitude and ends the letter respectfully. So by following this structure, the letter is clear, respectful, and effective in making a request. And that ends our lesson, and here are our key takeaways for this topic. Prewriting is essential for organizing ideas, defining the purpose, and identifying the target audience, which sets the stage for drafting. In the drafting phase, ideas are structured into a formal letter, making the message clear and coherent. Writing a letter of request is an effective way to propose solutions to environmental concerns, as it allows the writer to address issues directly and request action in a structured, persuasive manner. So that's all for our topic in week 7. I hope that you learned something for that. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to KITCH MORE. Until next time, see you. Bye.